I just thought you were like your brother. Remember, he'd have his first point, it would take like 25 minutes, and then his next 3 points he would do in like 5 minutes. It was like, get to that first point.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Well, I've got 159 pages of notes. I'm on page 58, which is, again, about a third of the way through. I know how many pages average I need to get through 26 lessons, and I'm slowing down to where I'm about to get back to the average where it's supposed to be. So anyway, I think we're on schedule pretty well so far. I continue to put this slide up just so that we don't lose sight of where we are in the overall outline of the book. This is the very condensed outline that Robert Turner put together. But at least it kind of gives us a little framework of the argumentation that Paul is making in this letter to kind of keep us focused on that, especially with all the ancillary material that I've added to the class as well, which I understand, can cause us to lose continuity of the text itself. But I'm trying to continue to reinforce this and do reviews whenever I can to keep us focused on how the text is oriented, where we are in the text and what the arguments are and so forth. So we're in this second section, so to speak, that Robert Turner and most commentators have kind of the same breakdown, almost identical breakdown as far as chapter verse ranges of each section, even though they might have a slightly different text on each line and how they describe it. It's still pretty much the same, which is very uncommon, really, if you study a book for a class like this and you use several different authors to do some of your study. Many times the breakdowns of the outlines and so forth are very different from one author to another, but they're very, very similar throughout all of the authors that I've read on Romans. So when we look at Robert Turner's condensed outline, we're in this section called The Remedy for Sin, the Gospel of Christ. So after showing in chapters 118 through 318, which was the first section, that all men are under sin, all are under sin because all sin. Now Paul is showing the readers what the remedy for sin is, and that is the gospel of Christ. So before I go into chapter 4, verse 1 here, I want to back up just a tiny bit. Verse 27 of chapter 3, because even though we have a chapter break here, that's a man-made chapter break, he's still kind of in the same argumentation here. So because he's about to continue to talk about boasting, I want to go back just a few verses here and get back into the same section or the same idea that he was talking about boasting before. Verse 27 of chapter 3, then what becomes of our boasting? It is excluded. By what kind of law? By a law of works? No, but by the law of faith. For we hold that one is justified by faith apart from works of the law. Or is God the God of Jews only? Is he not the God of Gentiles also? Yes, of Gentiles also. Since God is one, who will justify the circumcised by faith and the uncircumcised through faith. Do we then overthrow the law by this faith? By no means. On the contrary, we uphold the law. So then chapter 4, verse 1. What then shall we say was gained by Abraham, our forefather, according to the flesh? For if Abraham was justified by works, he has something to boast about, not before God. For what does the Scripture say? Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him as righteousness. I'm going to have a few questions on those few verses in just a minute, but bear with me for just a few minutes while I carry on a monologue that I hope will give us some foundational details to help us properly understand Romans. One vitally important thing must be properly understood about the main reason for why Paul wrote the letter to the Christians in Rome. That he is primarily addressing Judaizers who think Gentiles need to obey the law of Moses. And by extension, they think they can be justified through works of the law. The proper understanding of this is essential to determine what Paul means when he contrasts